Hi everyone. So second regional in a row that this is top for me. So it was Warrington first time round, and this time it was Peterborough. It was a bigger regional this time round as well. In the UK, we don't have the new ban list in effect yet, so this was pre-ban list, but there are a few minor changes from the previous list. But going forward, I can discuss what will change. But honestly, that ban list just made this deck 10 times better. If you've seen the previous deck list for this, you'll notice there's like 2 minor changes. However, I do think there may be some significant ones going forward. So I'll just start off with and I want to go in a bit more depth because the previous one we were doing in a service station and there was too much noise. This time around I'm going to do it just with engines, engine order. So we'll go with the Volcanic cards. Got 2 Emperor, the 3 Trooper, arguably the best normal summon in the deck. I just hate the fact that it's a level 3. 3 Shell. The consistent hand advantage with this is insane. And then the 2 Rimfire. There was a point where I wanted to cut this to 1 because honestly, I wish I could play like 80 cards in the deck. But you kind of need to. There's times where you can actually have access to more than 1 because you don't, unless you have Oak, you can't access this twice when you banish it, because sometimes you have to banish it to send a monster first rather than because you don't have the Volcanic Blaze Accelerator, so you kind of need 2 sometimes. And you'd rather have that option. And also it's a level 1 Pyro Fire.
Why 2 Emperors?
So there's times where if you don't get the FTK, you can set up a board.
This deck has an FTK, by the way.
Oh yeah. If you set up the board, so obviously part of the FTK is to get this to set the trap, but then sometimes when you summon the first one, you set the trap can summon you out the second one, ignoring its summoning conditions. It bounces it back to your hand during the end phase of that turn. But the point being is, okay, you can't FTK, but I'm going to burn you for 1,000 for each special summon.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it also, when you've summoned this, you probably burnt them for maybe 2.5k maybe. So you put them on 6 summons with both of them, and they're 3-1. I love the fact that it's 3-1 because it's like
gets over everything.
Gets literally over everything. So that's why 2 Emperor is needed, and it's a level 8 as well, so you can make your Vampire. The Volcanic spells. Well, this one does actually say Volcanic in its name. The 3 Blaze Accelerator, the 1 brick, but it's not really a brick going second. The Emission, this is the one that actually summons you any Volcanic, ignoring summon conditions, or searches.
Or it burns, right?
Yeah, or it burns for a Pyro on the field. So if it's your opponent's Pyro, you burn for the full damage. If it's yours, it's half. And this is one of the changes from the previous list. I was speaking to Ricardo, the guy that's been topping with this deck in North America. He advised me to play this. Like I didn't want to play Scattershot. But he said this should be mandatory, and I don't know why I never put it in the first place. This card's nuts because as a discard outlet, it's a Foolish Burial. But the fact that you can place it as well with the Rimfire to let you discard to search, discard to draw. It's just really flexible. You don't need to play Scattershot for this. Like this card's just insane by itself. I took out the 1-for-1 for this. It was definitely worth it. This is what I love about this deck, especially kind of this format. When you're playing against like stun decks and stuff like that, you have main deck outs to problem monsters. Yeah. So like Barrier Statues, Dyna, what's the Vanity's Fiends and stuff like that. Having main deck outs to things like that is really strong. But it's not even just that. Like it's a Foolish and a Pop, and they're soft ones per turn as well. In my opinion, it's not a balanced card.
So what this card does is it targets a monster on the field, destroys it, and you send a level 1 pyro from your deck to the grave.
The send is the mandatory, and then if the target's not there on resolution, you still send basically. So the destruction happens at the end.
But this deck has a way of putting tokens on the opponent's field first turn, so even when you go first, you get to use the effect. So it is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's probably the main thing that you search with Trooper. It's part of the common. You normal summon Trooper, you add this. The unfortunate thing is like this is kind of a brick because you have to send this as cost to activate this, and you can only control one of these. But also the reason why this is good is when you send your Rimfire. So the first effect is you banish it to send a monster, or you banish a Blaze Accelerator to place another one. To banish a Blaze Accelerator to activate another Volcanic Blaze Accelerator, you legally can't activate another Volcanic Blaze Accelerator by banishing itself to activate another one.
Unless you have another target in deck.
Yeah, and this is the other name. And obviously to activate this, you send the one copy of this. So you're stuck unless you play this. And it's not even like, not like your opponent will know that you have this or not on deck, but like you legally cannot activate another one of these without having this in your deck.
So that's the Volcanic engine.
So that's 1 out of 7. Then we go on to the infamous Snake Eye engine. Consistency purposes, 3 Witch, 1 Flamberge. I hate the fact that I saw him pretty much in 50% of my opening hands. The 3 of the little ones. I really love Birch, but it's not. Deck's too tight. Even with 60, it's too tight. This is actually the main one. This is actually the most useful one for the deck. Because being able to add the simple spoils is more important than having these for link material. This is just link fodder. This I'd say is even more important than Ash because this gets you back your Rimfire, but maybe kind of balanced because this actually searches you like a Shell or a Rimfire or the. Actually, I'm not going to spoil it. Another engine or level 1 fire. Doesn't rhyme with Ling at all. I think these are self-explanatory. Also level 8, not that you want to use it as an Xyz material because you won't use this effect.
What spells are in the engine?
Of course, 3 wanted, 1 original and 1 temple. You still want to kind of, like if you get shifted, if you have access to Snake Eye engine, you can kind of, like, I don't play IP, but if you were to play IP, that is one way to kind of like push through shifter. But like you kind of just set up bodies in this version rather than like dying to shift it automatically. But like this is it kind of like protects you from nib, even though nib is kind of useful for us because if you get nibbed and you still have follow-up, which normally you do, you have a monster to actually help with your FTK, which we'll get to with one of the other engines in a second. This is just standard. I don't think you need to play anything more than this. I don't know what else you would play more than this. I think this is the standard for any. I need to mute that. So that's engine number 2. So those are the 2 biggest engines. Arguably, even though I'm a pure Snake Eye fan, I don't like the Fire King version of Snake Eyes, but arguably in this deck, the Fire King package is arguably the heart and soul of what can get things moving.
It's this card?
It's actually the card that nobody plays unless you play this deck. Or if you put it wrong on your deck list, because there's one word, the high part. So you have your level 1 that you can search special with original or search with Ash. You have your level 8 that pops something from the deck, which is usually this. You have this at Warrington Regional, this was insane because against the stun player, I know this is the previous regional, not the one that I topped yesterday, but this actually lets you avoid skill drain and stuff like that. So you can, like one of the wins that I had at that regional was I summoned the Emperor, activated its effect, and it was going to burn for the rest of his life points. But obviously skill drain was on the field, so I just chained this to pop the Emperor, and it resolves. And also it's level 8 as well. And like later on in the game, when you want to recur, or like this comes back and pops something, you probably already have another Fire King in grave to pop something with this, summon something back. No, summon then pop. But Yeah, as Jake mentioned, this is the heart and soul because this is a Foolish Burial for fire monsters, which is technically searchable because you get this and you get Sanctuary and pop with Viking Island, summon this, pop this from the deck. You get to send any of your fires, so which will most likely, if you haven't summoned, normal summoned or special summoned Trooper, it will be send Trooper and then special it back with any of your ways to summon something from the grave.
Like Promethean Princess, for
Yes,
example.
yeah, that very non-playable card. That was sarcasm. But yeah, that's the third engine. Small engine now. Heart and soul of the FTK. This can get you so many judge calls. It's literally an inherent summon from the hand and deck, or deck. So you send a spellcaster and a level 4 or level 5 to the grave, especially something from your hand or deck, and it doesn't start a chain. And on summon, it basically burns for the attack, non-targeting, for the attack of one of your opponent's monsters. And when it's sent from field to grave, and it's only when it's special summoned by its effect. And when it's sent from field to grave, it adds you this, which is basically a card that tributes a fire monster, burns your opponent for its total attack, original attack. And it doesn't have to be a specific, any fire. It doesn't have to be like a pyre or anything. So you could set up like Raging Phoenix or Snake Eyes, Flamberge Dragon. It will burn you for the full attack. And there's some cool things you could do with this if you just open it and you don't get the FTK. Just to avoid stuff like activate effect, imperm, tribute, send, but not that ever comes up because it's an FTK. Actually, yeah, okay. I should have really left this to the end because it's my favorite engine. I'm sure that you've seen previously, once upon a time. I love these cards. I've always loved the Nemesis stuff because they're just really intricate ways of summoning monsters, and they have a really cool mechanic, like shuffling back something from Banished to summon the little ones, and they all do something. This one is a Pyro. You can take a guess why that's relevant for this deck. It's annoying that it's level 2, but I guess it makes it fair. It searches you this, and then you can lock your opponent for whatever you choose, type-wise. And of course, if you've seen the ban list, we know that Protoss is back, which can kind of hint at, and Colossus, if you know the Wind level 4, which is Corridor, you know that there is some potential things that you can do with this deck going forward. I'm just going to tease you guys on that. So what if we lose cards like Link Rebo and things like that? I love this engine. You don't play anything more than the 2. It's literally Imseti because it gets you this, and then you need the other one so you can make a level 8, and also these are the best 2. Dumateof is nice, but it's just overkill. Like, you don't want to be bricking on any of the level 8s that aren't Imseti.
Imseti's pretty cool as well with cards like Volcanic Shell and stuff like that, because it means that you're actually getting like proper hand advantage.
Yeah, it also is a spellcaster which helps summon out the this guy, so just send a spellcaster, so there's some synergy with the deck. And also the dark attribute is quite nice. I think this is very self-explanatory. It's just a really powerful engine. And then 3 exceeds. It's very functional. It's a nice thing to hold in your hand. It's just a 3 of in a 60 card deck. To see one of them is nice. It's like a really good extender, especially after getting nibbed. Make a Charmer, and then you summon it out, and then you literally still have plays. It's pretty good. And
the Infernal Flame Banshee, is it called?
Yeah, I guess we'll get to the. Yeah, Infernal Flame Banshee is insane. I just wish. That's why I wish Trooper was level 4. And then, to be honest, I wish I could bump this up to 3, as again, there's no space. But this can send Imseti or Witch. And the reason why this is good is because you can. There's lots of ways to get spell and traps on the field to send to draw. But there's also, if you send spell and traps, or if you already have enough spell and traps, you can make Selene. It's a spellcaster, and you've already dumped the Witch, and you can summon back the Witch, and then you can start your Snake Eye plays. So there's ways into everything in this deck. You just literally have to like construct and engineer your way into the FTK or making a board of some sort. So yeah, I wish I could bump this up to 3, but right now I don't think there's anything I can make way for. So those are all the engines. So the class sees as 2 engines. All the main deck engines. Additional cards. Insane. It searches you any card in the deck apart from those things that aren't pyro, which is like a few of the engines, but they search themselves anyway. Searches you any volcanic, any snake eyes, and they can literally get you to, I mean, Poplar and Trooper already 1 card combos to get you almost, or if actually I think it does get you into FTK. Instead of playing like Reborn and 1-for-1, I prioritize this because sometimes discarding actually gets you going, or sending. And also it's a draw 1 as well. The draw 1 is once per turn, but like the special summon is not once per turn. This card is insane, especially if like you use your heater early on. If you guys don't know what this card does, is you 3 cards that are fire in your banished engrave, shuffle them back into the deck, draw a card. That's the engrave effect. That's the once per turn. But the activate effect, you target a fire monster engrave. That's the cost, and then on resolution you send 1 from your hand and special summon it. That's not once per turn. So if you open multiple and you have enough discards, and then again, as Jake was mentioning, shell, just constant hand advantage, can be really good. You could just keep making monsters on board. So that's all, I guess, the engine cards of the deck, and 10% of the deck is non-engine. I think these are the best non-engine cards. Honestly, this is my favorite card. Like, you want cards to draw as your 6th card to be valuable. You don't want to be drawing like hand traps, like an Ash as your 6th card, especially when it's a 60 card deck. You kind of want to like blow out. You leave the hand traps for your side, and even then, like all the side deck hand traps are good going second as your 6th card. One of the best spells in the game right now, and actually, in my opinion, the best spell in the game. I don't think there's much to say on this, is there? Side or extra first?
Extra.
Let's go extra. Oh, good. One.
That's your side.
Oh, yeah. What am I doing? Yeah. So, Link ones: Anima, Linkaribo, Almirage. This can easily come out. Honestly, the only relevance this has, and the amount of times I've used it to tribute and some now, maybe once over the 2 regionals, barely ever happens. The only thing good about this is it points down for Exceed. But other than that, like, this can easily come out. Like, I summon this more. Like, I'd rather play 2 of this than this. It's not as big as a loss as it is for Snake Eyes. This, on the normal summon of Trooper or Baby Kieran, can trigger Exceed, and it's a fire. It's another type for the Nemesis stuff, and this is how you get to a spellcaster with your level 1s for your FTK. So this is the spellcaster that you send to summon Inari. And also these are darks as well, so it helps with your Dark Charmer, which, spoilers. Ooh. Phoenix helps with the Zelantis FTK, OTK. It's a fire, but also back row removal is important. 2 Charmers. These are just really good right now. This is the biggest change. So I took out the Typhon. I realized I was barely using Typhon. This sort of deck, I don't think Typhon grinds you back into anything. Because you like to summon a lot. If you get stopped from summoning, you just have to accept it. Reprodocus is just so I can take advantage of the Nemesis stuff more. But it's also, there's times where you want to move into a Link 2. And you don't want to waste that spot. And obviously, now that I took Typhon out, you would think to put IP in. But IP being a dark and a Cyberse, it doesn't help with Eschatos. This synergizes more with that engine. And honestly, I can't express to you how important or how insane that engine is if you can like manufacture your way to it. SP is SP. Those are Link 1s and Link 2s. Princess, it's a decent card. Do I need to explain what Princess? Celine, as I said, the thing where you can bring back Witch with, go into your plays and make, what's it called? Make easy Appaloosa for 2 negates if you need to. Speaking of Appaloosa, Appaloosa's there. And then you have have the Zelantis OTK. I think this is. I thought this was the thing that was going to get hit. I said on the previous deck profile, Link Rebo should be banned. It got banned. I thought this would get hit too, but it still exists, and I'm not complaining. No, maybe I should. Xyz, Zombie Vampire. I really like this card. You kind of don't want to hit your traps to go for the FTK because it's going to stop you. But you get to see what your opponent's playing, and this is why I like the Nemesis stuff. You get to see what your opponent's playing, and you can decide what you want to stop for the following turn if you do have access to it. But it helps you summon out your Trooper or your Protoss or your Ash or whatever you bring out. And also, the people that don't know, if you take an opponent's monster, you can use, if it has a level, you can use it as a level 8 for this, which is really cool. Not many people seem to know that. So if you talents take something and you have another level 8, you can use that when the level 8 to make this. And Flame Banshee, this is... It's worth playing Xyz just to make this. Like, you literally play 3 cards in your main deck to take up a spot in your extra deck, and it's this. It's a Pyro, it's a rank 4. Searches or dumps you any Pyro by detaching 1, and when it's banished, it comes back. So there's a way to like chain block your Emperor, if needs be. But yeah, this, or if you wanted to, but yeah, just so much synergy with this. Any questions on that? Yeah. Side, Magdama, Tudrus Worm, and Boldrake. I wanted, and to be honest, I might just do this as well now. The hand trap wise, these are the only hand traps right now that I would value enough to play, because you can draw them as your 6th card and they still have value. Especially like with branded being a thing, like these are really good. Like that Puppet Lock thing is, I know it's hypocritical of me saying Puppet Lock when I'm playing an FTK, but I feel like this, I can vouch for this more because it makes my head hurt. So yeah, like these are the only hand traps I side in, and like you want to side in a lot because you're playing 60, so siding is a bit weird mathematically when it comes to 60. The only one-offs are searchable. That's why I can like vouch for these, because I could set this off or add it with Poplar, set it with Witch, and I can add this with Original or Ash. So there's a reason why I can play these. Or I can send this with Kirin, normal summon Oak, add this back to hand. Like there's ways to get into these, hence why they're at 1. And then for background removal, Cyclones and Evenly. This card is insane because you don't need your battle phase to do damage. So you can literally, if you go second, you evenly them and you're back to turn 1. And then you can do your FTK. If you want to bait a few things out, you normally have a few things that you can do in your turn before you go to battle phase, but evenly, and then just do FTK and that's it. Or just do enough damage, set up your board. Yeah, the deck doesn't need to worry about the battle phase that much. It's almost like you get multiple battle phases because of the burn damage. But yeah, that's all 15 in the side deck. So yeah, guys, thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. I hope this pile will be in your hands soon. But yeah, hopefully another top next weekend.